Livin' the dream is such a Gen X response to how you doing?
Dream.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris and I'm reviewing every episode of The Office, and today we are looking at Living the Dream. This is a long one, standing at 40-something minutes long, and it's the first of 3-hour-long episodes which close out The Office as we knew it in the year of our Lord 2013. So let's go.
I just think you're going into this a little fast.
I understand nothing.
Living the Dream contains 3 unique stories, all overlapping in quite an eloquent and delightful way. The episode, interestingly, lacks a real cold opening, opting to kick us off with a full version of the opening theme song, adding a meta layer to the audience's experience and expectation that this episode is going to be engrossing us into the broader story of The Office. And with the opening shot of the episode fading in with Jim and Pam walking very happily into the office, we get this talking head.
We had some really nice days together.
Mm-hmm. Nice morning, too.
Beasley, oh my God.
How's the sex?
Yeah.
We know we're in for a ride. But beyond the cutesy overshare that we get in that cold opening, if something feels peculiar about this cold opening, then it's probably due to the fact that almost every one of Jim's talking heads throughout the entire series, including those ones that include Pam, are framed against the exterior wall, always kind of signifying, at least to me, that Jim is longing for something outside of these walls. And hers are always inside the wall. And so with this subtle framing, the writers are attempting at least to confirm Jim's words here are honest, and this is exactly where he wants to be. This is all immediately juxtaposed to Andy, who is saying this is not where he belongs, both because
That is when you get fired.
but also because after a 5-second conversation with Jim, Andy concludes he needs to turn his life upside down due to his now belief that his lack of success in the world of getting famous, something that was for sure a joke in 2013, but is maybe going to get lost on future generations because of the way social media enables normal people to find fame. Anyway, while Jim knows that the office is where he belongs, as long as that's where Pam is, Andy realizes that the office is not where he belongs.
You want to quit Dunder Mifflin to pursue acting?
I see no reason to limit myself to just acting.
I've always criticized a lot of what the writers did here for the character of Andy Bernard, especially in the last couple seasons. And I know that there's a lot of reasons why the character turned out the way he did, between the starts and the stops, the pivots and the storytelling, and also Helms' movie career scheduling. You remember when Ed Helms was a movie star? And while I hold that they did royally screw up this character, there is a pretty robust arc for the Nard Dog throughout the series that I think the writers just assumed that we would fill in the gaps of, like Rocky.
Just like Rambo.
Filling in gaps is what I'm good at.
That's what she said.
Or he said.
Right, guys? Because of gay?
But that'll have to wait for a standalone story of Andy Bernard video. For now, Andy's resolute that he needs to be living his dream, and he can't do that working for Dunder Mifflin Scranton.
To pursue my lifelong dream of being famous.
Oh, Andy.
Just about anybody can be a star, but Andy, no, definitely not. Charisma black hole.
Andy's from the generation that thinks they should all be famous. What happened to the generation that knew you shut up, did your work, and died quietly from a heart attack? Whoa. That person has really gotten him or herself into quite a predicament.
Which then hard cut to Angela, who's walking into the office looking disheveled, which is the second time a woman walks into the office during season 9 looking like Meredith. But also the second time someone walks in looking like Meredith simply because they have to take care of their kids by themselves. Both these episodes, by the way, written by women and the same woman. I'm not sure I have enough to go off of here, but we would call that a trend. I'm not sure she's trying to make any commentary. It might have just been a coincidence. Who knows? Angela, of course, is still struggling financially in the wake of the Senate fallout, but things have started to take a more serious turn as the city has confiscated a couple sacks worth of cats from her studio apartment, which is a sentence I just read flawlessly. And while it's played for laughs, I do know for someone like Angela, this is a really big deal.
No. Everything is not okay.
But there's no time to dwell on Angela's dander because Dwight busts in with the announcement of his upcoming milestone that he's going to allow the office staff to share in.
I would like to invite you all to my black belt ceremony right here in the office at lunch.
The fireball joke is pretty good.
Basher, Thrasher, Crasher, and...
Smasher.
Smasher? No, where'd you get that? Fireball!
But I wish they would have maybe paid that off later in the episode.
Saw you smiling in the sun.
Fireball!
Oh, God!
No need to thank me.
I feel safe.
Back in the bullpen, Jim makes his move to take back his old desk, but Clark stands his ground. I'm not sure I ever noticed that Dwight was listening in on this whole conversation.
I'm here to sell paper.
Burn.
At Pam's pressing, Jim relents to life back in the annex, but on his way back, Andy comes out to reveal his plans to quit, which, great joke, everybody assumes he's being fired. This kicks off a mini sequence of Jim feeling out the place in the annex with multiple people attempting to talk Andy out of quitting.
Full asset.
Dwight's time to shine finally comes, and he receives his black belt and parades his awesomeness all around the office, faux striking everyone, until he arrives at Pam's desk and they share this moment that I think dates all the way back to season 2 for the two of them. And it is, again, just a charming little moment.
You don't know Pam. She is really cool.
Of course, Dwight's third grade passion for martial arts dates all the way back to season 2 as well.
Michael! Open your mouth! No, Michael!
But like his relationship with Pam, the series done a pretty good job of reminding us that this is important for Dwight along the way.
Because, as we all know, the one thing that 1,000-year-old martial arts do all the time is change.
And so while the sequence is slapstick and fantastical, it's also kind of cathartic to watch for this character. It's a simple and yet genius way to demonstrate Dwight's journey as a character, as well as prime us for the state of mind that Dwight is going to be in for the rest of this day, but also into the next couple episodes. And that's because, with Andy stepping down as Dunder Mifflin's manager, there is yet again another Game of Thrones at play. And David Wallace immediately pulls Jim into a conference room to discuss the position. And the writers gave us another little hit of dopamine here when Wallace inquires what Jim thinks about giving the position to Dwight.
Am I crazy? Not at all. It should be Dwight.
Some may look at this as unreasonably unrealistic, and I'm kind of one of those people. But a jump the shark moment? No. That happened a long time ago. And that's because for me, it's important for this character to have an arc that is being paid off. To think that Dwight deserves this job after all we've seen him do to prove that he's not the guy for this job. That Dwight has not done anything at any point to demonstrate any real growth as a character, including the fact that we literally just saw him trank a guy in the previous episode. But this is capitalism, baby, and numbers, sweet numbers, is all that really matters to Wallace. And we, as the audience, are actually clued in that Dwight may actually be ready to handle some of this responsibility with the weight that comes along with it.
I thought you wanted that job.
Yeah, I did, but I made too many mistakes. It's out of my reach now.
And I love this moment for the character because the one thing I would say this character's lacking for the last 9 seasons of television is the slightest bit of self-awareness. And while he has a keen sense of responsibility, mostly in the form of duty, he often fails to grasp the danger that his actions are causing him around him, leaving him to blame others or simply just not understand the big deal.
It's all right. Andy approved it.
But now, having taken full responsibility for his past actions and finding happiness in his pursuits, he's unlocked this new level to attain, and it's kind of touching. And again, I'll say charming to watch these things happen. I also just love that him and Jim are just straight up friends in these moments.
I'm afraid that ship has sailed.
I wouldn't be too sure about that. Just saying.
I am certain Mindy Kaling hated all of this, but that's okay, because she was wrong.
Why are you the way that you are?
More characters try to talk Andy out of quitting, including Dwight, who's now even primed to a potential promotion in the works, speaks very clearly and assertively to Andy, even against his own interest.
I have nothing to gain from getting you to stay and everything to gain from you leaving, but please, I have seen you perform. Dear God, don't quit your day job.
Dwight does get the offer from David Wallace to become manager, and tears in his eyes, samurai bow, and a demonstration of his custom manager business cards later. Dwight accepts the position.
I've just waited for this moment my entire life. I mean, I was interim manager once, but then I shot that gun.
What? It's interesting that Wallace knows nothing about the gun incident, by the way, which is a great commentary on corporate life. But we all know that he was balls deep into Suck It at the time, so there's even a callback to that in this episode.
And we'll get him a new set of drums.
Oh my God.
Back at the annex, the shot reveals this cyclical nature of thing the writers have been trying to convey this whole season, with Aaron and Pam wearing similar clothing, sitting on opposite sides of the desk, almost like a mirror kind of shot happening here. A scene doesn't really go anywhere, much like the cyclical nature of things theme in this season, but it does demonstrate that Jim and Pam are still resistant to hanging out with coworkers after work.
Weeknights are actually tough just because of
They
that.
are.
Right, yeah, no, just forget it. Forget I said anything.
You said you didn't have plans.
Meanwhile, Angela finds out she's being evicted from her apartment, and I think due to the cats, like maybe rent, I'm not sure.
I just transferred another $25 to that account.
No, hey, evicted? Fine, I didn't want to live in that cesspool anyway.
After everybody's gotten into his head, though, Andy decides to stick it out at Dunder Mifflin after all.
You can stay on as a salesman, Andy.
Thank you.
That is, until Dwight comes out to announce his new place amongst his peers.
Dwight Schrute is manager!
By the way, I made this edit of Dwight's manager journey years ago, and it's been fun to watch this play out over all of this time. Dwight even goes to Jim to offer the assistant manager position, and it may be the most touching callback of Living the Dream.
Assistant regional manager.
Nope, assistant to the regional manager. That is a real job and one I'd be proud to take.
Done. Way to negotiate, idiot. As assistant regional manager.
To the
Look.
But after seeing Dwight's heroic moment, Creed and Andy both make their own declarations.
Everyone, change my mind again.
Which is it now, dream or no dream?
Dream. Going with my dream.
Andy's resolute to not have a fallback because he thinks that a security blanket is what's stopping him from finding fame, rather than like,
There's just something there you don't want to look at.
so he decides to grab Toby's junk and poop on Wallace's car. And after the last person in the office attempts to talk him out of quitting,
Don't let pride ruin your whole life. Okay? It's not worth it.
Andy walks back into the office and sings a
Little ditty.
remarkable cover of Will You Remember Me? This gives a time of reflection and almost primes us, the audience, to start saying goodbye to some of these characters who are all being moved in different ways. With Angela just inching her way closer to Dwight, who's got this like successful aura about him, or maybe it's because she's still into him. Or like Jim and Pam just lovingly stare into each other's eyes, and many of the other onlookers having their own reaction to this song. And then it ends with everybody closing in on the former manager to see him out of the office. And as the day wraps up, Oscar sees Angela searching the web for tents, and he makes a quick assumption that Angela's considering living in a tent, and he offers up his place to help get her back on her feet. And as she lays down this stubborn pridefulness that she's had, she reaches out and grabs Oscar's hand in what seems to be her best attempt at like a heartwarming show of gratitude. With so many emotional moments in this episode, this, out of all of them, took my breath away. There's so much going on here between the affair stuff, the religious stuff, the political stuff, the senior-junior relationship between the two of them, the harshness that she's had as her entire persona for years, and his know-it-all persona for years. All of it just laid down in just a genuine moment of need and sacrifice. I think it's beautiful. I love it. And as the episode concludes, Daryl busts into the kitchen to tell Jim that the company,
Stumpany,
that athletes had a huge opportunity.
We got an offer on the table.
What kind of offer?
A buyout.
What?
We're in play, baby.
Oh my God!
We did it.
We did it! We did it! We did it!
To which Jim just declines very quickly and kind of taken off Daryl, which I don't really know why. And then we get the reveal that Pam was listening in from the ladies' room. And she seems upset. And in the final moments of Living the Dream, We get this reveal that we've been gathering from Angela throughout this episode, that she still very much does have feelings for Dwight.
No, not the senator. I love Dwight.
So with that, let's dive into the deeper meaning.
What does a bean mean?
Someone please explain it to Cat.
Living the dream. Life dreams are as varying as humans on this planet. Some long for the simple life, content to be part of a larger system, grow some kids, grow some crops, hit the local places over and over again, watch those kids grow up, then for some reason get really into politics in their older stages of life. But that's not for everybody. Some people long for the glitz and glam of fame. Some want to pursue careers of riches, and others want to pursue careers of meaning. Some devote their lives to faith, some to public service, some to creating, and some to consuming. Humans, as far as we know, are the only self-aware creatures on this planet. I guess not dolphins. I think they can recognize themselves in mirrors, which I think is, that's kind of cool. But we humans, as something that is made up of parts of the universe, are the universe thinking about the universe. And we didn't ask for life, and yet we have it. And I believe we only get one of these. And so the pressure to use this life wisely can be insurmountable at times.
Insurmountable.
That a life in which my dreams don't come true is failure. But then again, I have 2 dogs sleeping on the other side of this wall. They don't care about dreams for their lives. They don't have any plans. They're content living in this moment. But humans are cursed with the blessing of forethought, of problem solving, and maybe worst of all, seem to be burdened with this delusion that we can control the outcomes of anything. Now, life doesn't go the way we plan because we are hairless apes flying on a space rock at speeds that would threaten our sense of reality if we could really grasp it. And in spite of the fact that life never turns out the way we think it will, our brains won't allow us to succumb to nihilism. Purpose is what drives our motives, what wakes us up in the morning, what makes us persevere when things are difficult. And regardless of what our religion is, our political affiliation, our sexual preferences, our career aspirations, even our actual hopes and dreams, purpose is the one thing that spins the wheels of history.
Blood alone moves the wheels of history!
And this quote from Lao Tzu, which I don't even know why I know, always comes to my mind when I think about life. Governing a large country is like frying a small fish. Too much poking spoils the meat.
I want some man meat.
Now, I'm not a dictator of a large country, so I think in terms of the relationship between pursuing and being content. So then taking it back to this episode, Living the Dream demonstrates both the foolishness and joy of trying to live your dream, with characters overdoing it and some underdoing it, all with differing degrees of success along the way. Like we could say that had Jim not flipped the fish here, their relationship would be spoiled. Andy's pursuit of his dream is bound for failure because he's already poked it too many times. For me, I need dreams to give me purpose. I need something to head for, a North Star, somewhere to set my sail towards and keep my eyes on. But I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. So while I'm headed in that direction, I'm going to love every moment of my life, hard as that can be at times, and I'm going to love the people in my life along the way. Because the older I get, the more I realize that there is no summit in life. There is no reaching your dreams. There is no winning or achieving. It's just only going to always be the next thing or the thing after that until there isn't.
That one makes me think of death. It's kind of nice.
And if I have to sacrifice some dreams to keep others alive, that's fine with me.
Yeah, I can't do it.
On to the ratings.
This is the worst.
So, Living the Dream is a fantastic episode of The Office, truly deserving of its IMDb rating and the love it gets from around the web. There's something so subtle and real about this episode where the fantastical stuff happens. It had always happened that way. Like, take Dwight, for example. Karate chopping his way through the office feels extreme. But it's a well that the show has drawn from multiple times.
I shouldn't have been hanging out watching karate movies with you. Kung fu movies.
And the black belt he wears with pride throughout this entire episode, it's this pride and joy that's been forged through 9 seasons of character development. And while the show has for sure gone off the rails, basically from this moment.
What am I doing? No! Uh-oh.
The string of the final 3 episodes of The Office seemed to fly in the face of the idea that they lost their way, which is super frustrating because I would have enjoyed a season 8 and 9 that didn't suck. But I'm grateful for what this is. Simpsons did that thing where they're like poking fun at what season finales are, and I kind of feel like they were throwing some shade at The Office. But humans like stories that are satisfying to watch. The reason the Seinfeld finale gets as much hate as it does is because we didn't watch this show for years just to conclude with them just ending up in jail. Like we didn't need some like emotional sappy ending, but you needed something to make us feel that the time we invested was worth it. And so what we get here for these last 3 episodes is a commitment from the writers to say, you stuck with us for 9 seasons, let's make that worth your time. The script in this one, the acting, the editing, all of it works in a way that I struggle to find much fault in, anything to criticize. Watching Jim and Pam be happy, for God's sakes, is so simple, but it makes me happy. And in a sense, I wonder if it is that simple redemption moment that season 2 introduced us to that has been missing for the last 2 seasons. And in a stupider and unfairly crediting to the creators, maybe these last 3 episodes were the redemption that these last 2 seasons were lacking.
Fireball! Ah!
Either way, I am here for it because I'm a basic B.
I've never met anyone like that.
Everything works together to create a piece of work that is all the things that I'd want this episode to give me. I can't fault Living the Dream for the dread that it brought me the first time watching this. And that's because back then there was no start over button on Netflix or Peacock because those things didn't exist. When this aired, it was beautiful, but it was sad.
How can someone so beautiful be so sad?
Maybe like what I'm feeling about this Office Field Guide series concluding. It's been 5 years in the making, and I'm so grateful for everybody that's joined me along the way. Or you folks that found me in the future. Living the Dream, to me, is a 5 out of 5 episode. But that's just what I think about Living the Dream. Leave your thoughts in the comments. 2 episodes of The Office left after this, but don't worry, I still have a ton of Office stuff planned for the rest of this year, including the Season 9 wrap-up episode, a retrospective on the Office Field Guide as a series, a story of the Office video, and a couple more ideas that I'm kicking around. And after that, as many have speculated on what I'm going to be talking about next, I was apprehensive about doing an every episode of series again because this took so long. But I've decided to screw that noise because I think it is a format that I actually really enjoy doing. I like the consistency, and I like being able to build on something. And so, announcing for the first time here, after I'm done with The Office, I'm going to be moving on to... It's a series ripe with deeper meaning analysis. All that to say that while this journey for The Office is getting close to being over, this channel is not. So be sure to subscribe, join my Patreon, and the more people that support the channel, the more content that I can actually afford to produce. So speaking of that, I want to thank all these fine folks for supporting us, starting with our Dundee's hosts, Amber Piercy, Anna, Dark Lasagna, and our Inner Circle members, Avery, Heidi and the Una, Valerie, Jackie Estes, Mooch, Yesher, and Native Penguin. Thank you so much for your support. If you'd like to support what we're doing here, the link's down in the description. All that goes to pay for my editors, just keep these videos coming out weekly, or you can just give this video a like and subscribe if you have not. Join us next week as we cover
Trademark pending.
Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.